So let's open this up. Right, so let's just make another geometry node. So call it RNDR, RNDR underscore big rock. Let's make it green. No, let's not link it up. Right, like that. Let's go in here, the rock main. We could just take this file, copy parameter, and just load it in with a file and go to paste relative references. Again, you could also publish this asset to the rocks, but we might be changing it when we're going to assemble our scene, because this is probably not a rock that you might use. Well, it depends on what you're going to do. Maybe you might change it depending on your composition. We haven't really done the composition yet. So normally, of course, if you do an actual, if you're doing like from your movie, you would first go through all of these phases like storyboarding, and then you're going to do layout, animatic. So yeah, we skipped all that because this is just a tutorial course. But anyway, so let's take this one. Let's apply our material. Like that. Let's make a second camera maybe that we can sort of more put somewhere in between here. But do something like this maybe. This is nice. Okay. Let's go to let's make another rob. So I guess call this pebble. Let's take another one. Call this big rock. Oh. And this is a bug that happens all the time. Call this big rock. All right, so in here, in objects, you can assign objects. So I can say that candidate object will by default grab all the objects that have the display flag turned on. But let's remove that and let's only put in this object. You could select it from here. And then it will, even if it's turned off, if you put it in force objects, it will always render. But now it will only render this object. So even if I have this one turned on, it won't render that one. We could also do that for the lights. So maybe we don't want to render all the lights. Maybe let's make some separate lights just for this one, because this thing is a lot bigger. Let's do maybe just do a sunlight or something. I don't know. Let's put it over here. Let's put it to light sun. Camera 2. Let's open up this thing. Oh, let's not freeze it. All right. Oh, and we need to enable tessellation. Maybe do a little bit less tessellations because it's quite a heavy mesh. And let's press render and hopefully it all won't crash. Okay. So you can go in here to Houdini, select Rob, and then go pick rock. And let's wait. It's going to take a little bit longer to build the scene because this asset is quite heavy. Okay, this looks exactly like we expect. Okay, so we're not rendering the correct camera. So we made a new camera, so we want to render the other camera. So let's press render again. We need to put it to Rec 709. Let's just increase the oh, we haven't enabled displacement yet, and you can immediately tell if you're looking at this render here, because we don't really have a lot of detail. So let's click the plus icon, and then maybe we can compare. That might be a nice lesson. So, right, that's and with Control B again, you can maximize something like this. All right, so let's just enable displacement. And it's gonna think for a little bit. All right. Now you can see, if we make another screenshot, that's a big difference, right? This looks fake, and this looks somewhat real. So let's see, how can we actually turn down the background from this? I'm not sure. Enable sky shader. Oh, we're still in the... okay, we do want to enable the shader. I just don't want to see it in the background. I'm not sure if we can turn that off. It doesn't really matter that much for now. But I'm kind of liking the way this looks, to be honest. This looks kind of cool, right? I mean, we have, if you look in these crevices, you can see like the green stuff over here, sort of like build up of like algae and stuff, and you see these like these flowy motions. So I'd say this looks pretty good. Let's also render a test frame for this. Big rock. And render to disk. So building redshift scene takes a little bit. So you can see now why this naming is super useful, because now we get a separate folder here. And it's still rendering, so there's not... yeah, you can see here it's rendering. It opened up this thing. For some reason, it's mirroring. Okay, I have no idea what's going on there. That's weird. Anyway. Oh, by the way, you can also, because I mentioned before, the render resolution is set here. But you can also override it over here. So we're rendering at 1280 by 720 now, but you could override it, put it to custom. You could do it like that. You can overscan, all that stuff. But okay, so now we have our big rock here, so we can open it. Always takes a while to open DJV. All right, so this is our thing. So if you wonder what program I'm using for this, I'm using DJV. So that's a open source program to like preview, like to view images and renders and stuff. So it's not sure what he's showing here, but anyway, you can download it here. So it's quite nice. It's on Windows, Linux, and Apple, so you can get it wherever you want. But yeah, this is our procedural rock we made. So it looks pretty good. Again, you can change the shape depending on the depending on the look that you're after. But I think this looks pretty good for now. We can change the shape later when we start doing like the scene assembly, or you can already start doing it yourself. But let's move into the coral.